I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
The Trump administration insists these strikes are consistent with international law. Do you agree with that?
No, it's murder. It's very simple. If this president feels that they're doing something illegally, then he should be using the Coast Guard. If there's an act of war, then you use our military, and then you come and talk to us first. But this is murder. It's sanctioned murder that he is doing that. And it's very simple for someone like him to talk about killing people or doing something in the name of war. He's never actually served. He's never actually pulled a trigger. And it's very dangerous what he's doing, both to our international relations, to our friends down in South America, and to these men and women that have to make these calls for a president who has zero understanding about the responsibility someone has when it comes to having to make life and death decisions. It's disgusting what he's doing.
This week, as we were out across Iowa, I talked to folks in Creston, specifically at the Creston Hospital. Work that they are doing every day to make sure that urgent care is met, OBGYN physicians are available, and that the best possible health care is provided to folks across our state, whether you're in a rural community or an urban center. It's one of the reasons I'm so proud that we were able to pass legislation that I helped lead to provide $50 billion to help our rural hospitals. I'm also proud to be leading legislation, our Train More Nurses Act, to help an additional 80,000 individuals become nurses by getting more instructors in the classroom, as well as tailored Train More Doctors Act that we're leading to make sure we've got general practitioners and those very important OBGYNs, so that every rural community has the opportunity to grow up and bring in the next generation. Together, we're making rural Iowa stronger by helping our healthcare professionals.
Yeah, we haven't shut the government down. Donald Trump is the president. Republicans control the House and the Senate. And what we've repeatedly made clear is that we would not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people in an environment where Republicans already enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing because of Republican policies in their one big ugly bill all across the country. Medicare is facing a $536 billion cut at the end of the year unless Congress acts, again connected to the one big ugly bill. And now Republicans are refusing to even consider extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits when open enrollment starts on November 1st. This is a now issue.
But, Leader Jeffries, you kind of conflated a spending bill with a clean CR. It's only 24 pages. It keeps the government open at this point. And the House passed it. It's ready to go. The Senate has it. I know that the Republicans control everything, but you know how the filibuster works. And God forbid Republicans, fold on the filibuster, because it'll be used, both parties will use it against the other. It's one of the last safeguards that make the Senate different than the House. And the only reason the Senate can't do it is purely because of Democrats. And you had one of your colleagues in the Senate say, this is the only leverage we have. People are going to get hurt. This is the only leverage we have to get what we want on health care. It's a bad look.
And what I would say to the folks who are doing the food drive is say thank you. Because there are going to be women and kids and families that are going to go hungry the longer that this continues. So the way that the community can rally, the way that the community can come out and come together to help those in need is a tremendous opportunity and experience for those who are most in need. And so thank you for doing that. And it's a sad day when we have to do that. It shouldn't be that way. But that's where we are right now because of the lunacy of the left.
So here we are. The president deploys thousands of members of the California National Guard on the streets of Los Angeles against the wishes of the mayor and governor. Here we are, the president tells the Marines, those who have trained to land on beachheads and be the tip of the spear, that their next mission will be Los Angeles. These might sound like hypothetical scenarios or the futuristic plot of some film, but this is what actually happened. And the president did not stop there. From Los Angeles, he turned to our nation's capital. He put the National Guard on corner after corner, even called on them to pick up trash. Because this has never been about crime or quelling some kind of rebellion or insurrection. For the president, who refused to act when our capital was under actual insurrection on January 6th, this has never been about public safety. It has been about control. It has been about quashing dissent. It has been about using our troops as political pawns to show anyone in any city in America that the president is not to be crossed.
Well, unfortunately, in day 25, what we've seen is that Donald Trump has shown zero interest and Republicans have shown zero interest in reopening the government. Our view from the beginning, Leader Schumer, Senate Democrats, House Democrats, we've all made clear that we will sit down with anyone, anytime, any place, either at the Capitol or back at the White House, to negotiate a bipartisan agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people. But at the same time, we have to decisively address the Republican health care crisis because it is crushing everyday Americans, working class Americans, and middle class Americans. And Rev, this is in an environment where Republicans have enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripping health insurance away from more than 14 million Americans. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all throughout the country, including in rural America. They are possibly going to bring to the country the largest cut to Medicare, $536 billion by the end of the year if Congress doesn't act, in our country's history. And now they refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, resulting in premiums going up on tens of millions of Americans. And open enrollment is going to be upon us in about a week from today on November 1st. That requires decisive action, and that's been a consistent position that Democrats have taken over the last several weeks.
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
Joining us now, Kansas Republican Senator Roger Marshall, who sits on both the Budget and Finance committees. It is one of the longest government shutdowns ever. Is there an end in sight, Senator?
Well, John, I could keep our eye on November the 1st. November the 1st, our air traffic controllers will miss another paycheck. The military's do another paycheck right then. I think that'll probably be the sentinel moment that pushes us forward. But I think it's important that everyone know Republicans are united. We continue to have the same goals that we've always had. We want the government to be open, but we also need to work towards responsible spending. And frankly, I think the president is enjoying watching the Democrats stand on their head and spin like tops. So I think we're learning, again, how to negotiate. President Trump is teaching us how to negotiate, just like giving Secretary Bessent, that strength of negotiating, putting that tariff on China. I think that we right now have the upper hand. We need the Democrats to vote yes, reopen the government.
The historian Victor Davis Hanson says that the weaker party, the party that doesn't control Congress, or in this case, the Congress as well as the White House, that weaker party is usually the one that shuts down the government to, create chaos and try to leverage the lack of strength into something powerful. But do you think that in this case, are Democrats getting the blame, or are legacy media helping them blame Republicans?
Well, the legacy media is certainly trying to help the Democrats right now. But I think we all realize that everyone loses, that no one's winning right now. And because of that, there is a bit of shared blame. But at the end of the day, Americans know that the Democrats have voted, 12 times, I've lost count, 12 times against reopening the government. And not even the legacy media can change that narrative. What's got the folks fired up back home is the Democrats' refusal to pay the military as well. So again, I kind of point towards that November 1st deadline. And maybe when the airports are shut down, I bet we all come to our senses again and negotiate the problems that are still out there.
Your fellow Republican Senator Rand Paul has a suggestion on how to get things moving again. Here it is from Sunday morning, from this morning.
I suggest that President Trump come forward and name 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats in the Senate to an official commission to figure this out over a 1-month period and come back with a solution. But in exchange for that, I think the Democrats need to open the government for a month, and then we need to pay the workers, pay our soldiers, and then I think we could come to a solution. But there has to be something different.
He talks about a 1 month period that would go by in the blink of an eye. But what do you think about that suggestion, Senator?
Well, it's an idea, and I think we have to be careful not to negotiate against ourselves right now. Senator Paul's one of my closest friends. I really respect him, but I think President Trump has a plan. He's all about timing, and right now you're seeing Schumer beg to meet with President Trump. We almost got him where we want him. I think that anything coming from within Congress probably isn't going to solve the problem. It's going to take an outside force. It's going to take an outside force like the air traffic controllers all being sick the same day. And President Trump, when he feels like the timing is right, that he can make a deal to not only reopen the government, but also address our national debt and try to control spending as well. So we're getting closer. But I think fiscal conservatives need to toe the line here.
You're a physician as well as a senator. A lot of the Democrat argument centers around Obamacare subsidies. Why, if Obamacare was supposed to save health care and be cheaper, why does it need subsidies?
My gosh, what we do know about Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, is it's not so affordable. Premiums are going to go up 20% alone this year. And Americans need to realize there's about $25 to $50 billion of fraud in Obamacare right now. $25 to $50 billion of fraud. Democrats have to be willing to address that before I can even begin talking about fixing a very, very broken ACA. They're going to have to not only address the premiums, that the average deductible on these policies is $5,000 a year. So you're a family of four, you have an income of $60,000, $80,000 a year, and you have a $5,000 deductible. That's not access to health care. We do know that the ACA is really broken. I think we know how to fix it as well, but we need to open the government. Then I'll be very glad to sit down and try to fix a very broken ACA.
Senator Roger Marshall, Republican of Kansas. Senator, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hi, everyone. I'm just leaving City Hall here in Concord and want to encourage everybody to make sure that you are registered to vote. And if you have elections coming up, as we do here in the city of Concord on Tuesday, November 4th, make sure you're registered and get ready to cast your ballots, because the right to vote is the right from which all of our rights flow. And what I know is that governing is a team effort at every level of government, and these elections really matter for New Hampshire and for our country. So get in there, get registered, and cast your ballots.
Police in Florida have broken up a migrant burglary ring. A group of illegal immigrants from Colombia dressed as maintenance workers were caught on a drone camera stealing from high-end houses. So now we know how it's happening. Dana Marie McNichol is live from Miami with more. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dana. That's right. This Colombian crime ring was sophisticated. Fake uniforms, detailed maps of wealthy neighborhoods, even hidden cameras to track their victims. But little did they know the police was tracking them. Orange County deputies were tipped off, and they were ready with drone cameras to catch them in the act. You can see two men disguised as landscapers casing the backyard of this home in Orlando. They walked in with empty bags, but walked out 30 minutes later with thousands in stolen designer handbags and shoes.
Like the first time when I come to my house, when I saw the window break and my door open, and I feel like my heart jumped outside.
It was this hidden trail camera that helped them learn her patterns. Investigators say the suspects spent weeks watching the home, even dribbling a basketball in the neighborhood to blend in. Now, the suspects are on video crawling out of the home and then jumping into getaway cars. They thought they had gotten away with it, but the drone then tracked the group to their meetup spot. Officers moved in, the takedown all caught on camera. Now, 5 suspects now sit in jail, charged with burglary, grand theft, and criminal mischief. All 5 are Colombian nationals in the U.S. illegally with ICE detainers. And Dana, police reports show that this Colombian crime ring doesn't only span to this neighborhood, but many counties throughout Central Florida.
It's very interesting. And, you have to wonder if this is like connected to some of the other ones happening in other parts of the country. Thanks, Dana Marie.
American people more than ever realize what value our federal employees provide, not just when you need help with Social Security or the IRS or all the things that are done by federal employees that affect our lives, but they're also saying we understand 15 million people are going to lose their health care, and everyone's going to have an increase in health care rates because of the big ugly law that just happened. And we are fighting to try to lower the cost of health care and make sure that people don't outright lose it for their families. So federal employees are working without paychecks or being furloughed and not getting paid. And they're the heroes. They're the ones saying no, but this fight is important to have. House Republicans haven't shut up for 5 weeks in Washington. If they were serious about negotiating anything, they wouldn't be drinking pina coladas in their basements, right? It's time to get back to Washington, D.C. and work. And we're not seeing that from the House Republicans. So honestly, anything they say is, the American people can tell, it's pure BS.
Number of young people, people in their teens who had parents who had been snatched off the streets, been picked up while dropping their children off at daycare or school, or had been taken from their workplaces or just ripped out of their cars and their cars left on the street. So now we have young people who are trying to take care of their families and fill the gap left by a parent who has been disappeared into this ICE system that is far from transparent and is not providing due process. We heard from citizens who have been detained. The day before we arrived, ICE had picked up two 16-year-olds, at least one of whom was a citizen, on their way to school, and picked them up, detained them, and then just released them with no charges because there were no charges to bring. We heard from teachers and school social workers and PTA members about the challenges of trying to keep kids safe and trying to allay their fears when you have ICE agents running amok in the streets, masked and armed men.
I want to flag a case that is now being presented to the Supreme Court on the Voting Rights Act. If the Supreme Court sides with the president on this issue, you could see real redrawing of the maps, particularly in southern states, but in states across the country, in ways that essentially get rid of any African-American leadership and representation in those states, but that also flip seats from being Democratic-leaning to Republican-leaning. It's just another way that the president and his team are trying to make a permanent Republican majority in the United States of America.
If I don't feel like I have enough controllers or enough controllers that are focused, we will slow down traffic. We will stop traffic. And that's why you see the delays in the system. And the job number one is, again, get people to where they're going safely. And if it's not on time, well, call the Democrats. Call Chuck Schumer if you're frustrated that you have a staffing shortage and your flight's 3 hours delayed or your flight is canceled. Call Chuck. Call Senate Democrats, because this is the reason why.
Hey, highs and lows. I'm here with my good friend, the great senator from Colorado, Senator Hickenlooper. I like to call him governor, but we can also call him mayor, which is something that we share in common. And our states share a lot in common. And speaking of that, you're gonna share our high with our group this morning.
Well, with your incredible help and leadership, together we got Fix Our Forests Act, which is a major step forward in terms of making sure we can fight back and be ready when wildfires strike, which we see on an increasing level. We finally got that out of the Ag Committee with a strong bipartisan majority, and it looks like it's really going to go to passage, and long overdue.
Yeah, a very substantial bill, especially for the West in our states. The low, I'm going to kind of piggyback off the same thing. We know America expects us to do more of this. And quite frankly, there's just not enough of it. That's one of the reasons we're so excited about this. But a low is also that when we do it, and a lot of this happens here, it's really hard to get the word out. So help us spread the word. We're actually working together, getting substantial stuff done. And I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Hi, everybody. Congressman Gabe Amo here. Republicans shut down the government rather than help 22 million Americans, including 40,000 Rhode Islanders, afford their health care coverage. And this is after they cut $1.5 trillion from the healthcare system that we all use, driving up costs and wait times for emergency rooms and medical services for everybody, no matter how you pay for your care. And I want to break down what that means for Rhode Islanders in the 1st Congressional District. For a 60-year-old couple, earning under $83,000 a year in Rhode Island will get their health care through the Affordable Care Act, also known as Health Source. Their annual health insurance costs are being hiked by $14,609 a year. That's equal to 10 months of housing costs for the same couple. Who can possibly afford a second mortgage or rent payment every single month? That's what Republicans want you to pay. For a family of 4 earning $64,000 a year with 2 kids, they will see their annual premiums increase by $2,571 a year. That's over $200 a month, which is the equivalent to paying a second energy bill each month. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Republicans are hell-bent on making Americans sicker and poorer, but I'm fighting back in Congress to stop the cuts, lower the costs, and save healthcare. Let's open our government and fight for the people we work for.
California senators are calling for the Trump administration to release November SNAP benefits. U.S. Senator Alex Padilla and Adam Schiff, along with others, urged the U.S. Department of Agriculture to release billions of dollars to help those who rely on the SNAP assistance program, and about 40 million low-income Americans, including 5.5 million Californians, depend on SNAP benefits to put food on the table.
There's a state representative who's a good friend and ally of mine who's an emergency doc in my district. And, we talk a lot about what he is seeing on like the real dangerous public health stuff coming out of RFK. The vaccine moves he's made have been really dangerous. And I'm from a part of the world of Western Pennsylvania. We cured polio. There are people still alive who talk about what life was like before the polio vaccine. And that's just one example. And so it's dangerous stuff. And oftentimes incoherent on top of it, for real basic public health things like safe vaccines that we need. We need people to trust good science, and we scrutinize it. That's fine. That's healthy. But my God, this guy is peddling some weird stuff these days.
I just came back from Chicago. There was a hearing on ICE raids that are happening there. And what people forget or maybe don't realize is the economic burden that this is resting on folks in these cities across this country. For example, in Chicago, and I know you asked about San Francisco, but the second largest revenue generating corridor in the city has lost revenue up to 40% because of these raids. You have women who are no longer even going to the clinics to get their breast health screenings. They had 0 women patients coming to the clinic because of these ICE raids. So that's what the mayor was concerned about in San Francisco. Thankfully, he had some friends who have a lot of money who can call Donald Trump, but that's not how we should have a relationship with the federal government, is it?
This is about the grocery store, which is another pain point for consumers, and which is also being driven in part by tariffs, because we did see significant increases for a number of different items. Canned vegetables, ham, other items of food went up. But then there's other tariff exposed items that have gotten more expensive. For example, apparel. Apparel went up by almost 1% on a monthly basis.
They warned this was coming. They warned that it was coming in the fall.
Right, because so much of the clothes they're imported, so they are exposed to those tariffs. Girls' apparel jumping by almost 4% on a monthly basis. And then 2 other things that are exposed to tariffs that I'll just call out. Appliances, they went up significantly by about 2%. And also some furniture increased significantly. And we know that furniture just got tariffed by the president.
When people have healthcare challenges, you're going through all kinds of physical, emotional, mental challenges. I often talk about my daughter in the last year of her life when she was suffering from breast cancer. I mean, you have the effects of the treatment, you have the disease itself, you have the emotional anguish, the mental anguish of going through all that. If you, in addition, have financial concerns because you don't have coverage, that just adds to the enormity of what you're dealing with.